It is part of the vision that has been announced already by Honorable Prime Minister as part of the Amrit Kal. So the docking is integral part of Chandrayaan 4. So that you said that Spedex is a precursor which we planned earlier. So currently Spedex satellites are under integration. It should also align with the long-term vision of our moon program. It cannot be just a replication of whatever we did, but it should add.
The test vehicle mission will have a more controlled descent because last time it was a free fall. So what would be different?
Yeah, it will have.
Hello and welcome. Today we have with us Dr. S Somanath, Chairman ISRO and Secretary Department of Space. Thank you so much for taking the time out, sir.
Thank you.
So firstly, congratulations on the 4 big missions being cleared by the Union Cabinet. I think it's an unprecedented thing that so many big ticket missions get cleared in one cabinet sitting. It's not happened before. So your first views on that?
No, I was expecting it because it is part of the vision that has been announced already by Honorable Prime Minister as part of the Amrit Kal. For the space, he envisioned that by 2040 we should have a human landing. We should build a space station. These 2 announcements were there part of the earlier thing, and rest of us are enablers towards it. Like building the new generation launch vehicle is an enabler to do that. And similarly, the mission Chandrayaan 4 as well as the Venus orbiter mission are also scientific missions that leads capacity in that over a long period of time. So we were expecting it. In fact, we wanted some more approvals to happen. Possibly in the coming days, they will also get approved with our infrastructural projects that need to be approved. And also, we also have to have a series of Chandrayaan missions which will build up the capacity from the current to the one which will actually send the human to space, human to land on the moon and bring back.
So one of the missions that the Space Commission has approved is the Lupex mission, which is a joint mission with Japan.
Yeah.
The Japanese government has already given its nod for that.
Correct.
So can we expect, what is the status of that mission, sir, and when can the government approval be expected?
Currently, we are in the technical discussion level, and the commitment from both the Japanese side is already known. They have assigned the development of the rover to some company which is doing it. Also assigned the money to the project by the government, identifying their launcher as a launcher for it. So the one of the challenge was that after our Chandrayaan 2 mission, there was no work on it, though agreement was signed way back in 2017 on going ahead with such a joint mission. After Chandrayaan 2, it couldn't be taken up because of that development of the capable soft landing capability was not demonstrated. So once again, I took it up after the Chandrayaan 3 soft landing, the status of the Lupex, and we found that the configuration of that spacecraft need to be totally re-engineered, and it should also align with the long-term vision of our moon program. It cannot be just a replication of whatever we did, but it should add new features which will ultimately become useful for human landing. So we re-engineered the entire thing, which will call for development of new engines, which will be the engine which will use ultimately for human landing. So that will become part of this list, so that capability will develop much early, and also a heavy lander, and also the rover become 350 kilograms. So how the rover can be taken out of the lander and brought out? We cannot do it in the manner we did for Chandrayaan 3. It has to be a different approach of putting a 350 kilogram rover cannot be put inside the spacecraft. It has to be externally mounted. So in such a case, how to take it out? And so we have to conceive a sky crane type of arrangement to lift it out and put it on the floor. So those designs were done in the last one year or so. We worked on the capability and the entire architecture, and a feasible design was done. Then we further went into its cost estimate, vision, payload capability, etc. So that time was spent last 1 year after that.
This new engine you're talking about is the lander engine.
Lander engine will be a new development by LPS.
And also, sir, in terms of timeline, we are looking at about 36 to let's say 40 months for Chandrayaan 4.
Yeah.
So can this be in 48 to 50 months?
Yeah.
Or
that is both should go parallelly. In fact, possibly Chandrayaan 5 will happen immediately after Chandrayaan 4. We cannot have too much of delay. Chandrayaan 5 is not going to start after Chandrayaan 4. That's not possible.
So Lupex is designated Chandrayaan 5?
We would like to call it Chandrayaan 5 depending upon approval, because it's still not approved. I can't do that. Currently it is only Lupex.
Okay.
So we will seek further approval and to fit it under the Chandrayaan series of missions. So we have further also, beyond Chandrayaan 5 also we are discussing what type of technologies have to come into each step so as to reach up to the
Human.
So that's what we are looking at in the further series.
And in terms of Project Surya, which is not only going to be useful for the Earth space station that we're talking about, but also to reduce launch cost and also increase payload capabilities. What has been the progress? So because the project team had been identified, I think almost 6-7 months ago, a little longer. And from there, what is the status now and the developmental
Normally, we
timeline?
do project team identification even before approval. That's the way we do, because engineering has to be done. Without a reasonable amount of engineering, we'll have no idea of its development complexity, cost, facility, infrastructure requirement, etc. are worked out by the project team only. So that is done always early. And we also started a pre-type of project on development of the engine. Even another team is formed for making the long Smith engine, which was almost a year back. That was done. So that team has almost completed the design. The paper-based design is completed. I started making the first of hardwares are also done, injector, and they did a firing also of the locksmith engine. The first pre-igniter firing has been done now. Now we are looking at manufacturing and industry interfacing is currently going on. How to bring in modern manufacturing technology like additive manufacturing largely into this engine. Currently various levels of discussions are going on. Then also discussion with our traditional manufacturers like HAL and Godrej on making parts. But engine we have to make in large numbers because number of engines per flight is almost 13 per engine.
Correct.
So because of that you need to have a production capacity at least 25 engines per year. Currently we have only 2.5 engine production capacity in India. So that has to be ramped up almost 10 times, which is a huge jump. So we have to look at that also during production phase. So these works are going on, and also looking at different manufacturing. We have to make tanks of 5 meter, 5.5 meter class. So how to do, where to do. So those discussions are going on in different levels of industries, things like that. We are also discussing on the engineering method of how to do this engineering of this rocket different from our earlier generations. Earlier everything was done within ISRO. So we are now looking at participating industry in the part of the design process itself. So that manufacturing and design will go on hand in hand. So industry will be an integral part of our design process. So they understand the design and plan the manufacturing right away. Not after the entire design is done, fabrication drawing is supplied, they will get tender then start. So 2 years will go down the line. So that to save that, we are bringing in that type of tools and also bringing in new software tools to do concurrent engineering. So this is also a discussion going on. Again, bringing an industry to establish the entire concurrent engineering network within our facilities to collaborate with engineering, so that design, everything is done on computer and we get into industry production. So some of those approaches are currently going on. And once financial approval comes only, we can spend money. Until then, it is all in paper.
So, sir, coming back to Chandrayaan 4, it will have 5 modules and it will be launched in 2 stacks and eventually docked there. So, any update on the Spedex mission? And also, Chandrayaan 4, has it completed the PDR, the preliminary design review?
No, Chandrayaan 4 PDR will happen only after approval. We cannot do it prior to that. So, approval is now given. So, it will go through that process. Design is reasonably done to the level of putting up a project report and cost estimate. But very detailed, it has to go further. That will happen as normally we do. So the docking is integral part of Chandrayaan 4. So that you said that Spedex is a precursor, which we planned earlier. So currently Spedex satellites are under integration. So it will be completed in another 1 month time.
Okay.
Then it will go for testing in full-fledged way, demonstration or simulation, everything. And we are hoping to have the launch before December 15th.
Okay. December and brings me back to Gaganyaan now. Multiple tests that are in the pipeline that are expected. One is the test vehicle demonstration 2.
Correct.
And also the uncrewed human mission. So this time the test vehicle mission will have a more controlled descent, because last time it was a free fall. So what would be different?
Yeah, it will have propulsion this time. Last time it was not there. So propulsion control thrusters need to be there because we are going to Mach 2 condition. So higher aerodynamic condition which demands a control. Otherwise the aerodynamic control is not available fully. So that is one change, and the rest are similar, and the propellant loading and mission design is different. So that's vehicle is ready and moved to SHAR already. Test vehicle. They are available at SHAR, but the crew module integration is currently going on in URSC.
And for the uncrewed mission also, the rocket has
everything
reached.
has reached sharp. So the S200 both are ready, and L110 has reached long back, at least 3 months back. And cryo stage is a new cryo stage. It's called C32, not C25. So it's a longer version and a different version. So that stage is made first time for Gaganyaan, and last week it went through the entire propellant mock-up at Sharp, taken to launchpad and did all the filling trials, everything completed and brought back. So we are ready with the rocket fully. Now the crew module is finally in the integration phase at VSSC.
VSSC.
The propulsion integration and mechanical integration systems are going on. Service module wiring is going on at URSC. So items are coming now, feeding into each other. Then next is the called crew escape system. That all items are there. So we told them to move to SHAR now to integrate. So that's next 2 months of work.
So will the first uncrewed mission carry Vyomitra, or will that be for a later?
No, it will carry Vyomitra. So Vyomitra will be there, and also environmental control of life support system, engineering development model will be there, which is unpressurized compartment, how to test it. So we have a different design to test it.
Okay.
So that also will be there. One seat will have Vyomitra, another seat will have ECLSS.
Okay.
So that's how both seats will be there.
The mass simulation will happen.
Simulation will be that model.
And in terms of the next test, will it be the pad abort test, or will it be the second uncrewed, or will they happen parallelly?
No, we are working on all three parallelly. So the G1 is the priority, test vehicle is second priority, third priority is pad abort. And we also have an airdrop test which we couldn't do because of helicopter issue. So that also is going on. So all these four are going on. But priorities like this, we would like to have the G1 first based on inputs, because there are so many hundreds of input, electronics, hardware, software, all of them will get in. And for example, airdrop test has a link with the Air Force availability, helicopter availability. Test vehicle have some limitation with respect to some of the propulsion system integration completion. So each one goes. So I am not leaving it to this one must be done all together. No, depending upon the progress, we will decide.
The Space Commission has also approved the third launch pad.
Yeah, they have approved.
This is for Gaganyaan specifically, sir?
No, it has nothing to do with the Gaganyaan. So we must understand that we have only second launch pad. Now, first launch pad is there, which was built for PSLV. But when GSLV came, we started using it. Now GSLV cannot go there because cryogenic stage cannot be serviced from first launch pad. So for GSLV, we have only second launch pad. Then when LVM3 came, we re-engineered the second pad with LVM. Now LVM3 will have semi-cryogenic also coming in. So that is going to be a problem. Then again, human spaceflight initial has to happen from there. So much of changes are happening. For last 20 years, the second launch pad has been going through a lot of updates, revision. Now, if anything happens to second launch pad due to an explosion, ground, anything, then we have nothing to. Even first launch pad is not available for GSLV launch. Nothing. Every program will come to a standstill. So redundancy for that or standby for that is the primary objective of third launch pad. Then next is that we are going to have a new philosophy of the NGLV. That it is going to be horizontally integrated and tilted, not the vertical integrated approach. So that launch pad should support it. It is second aspect. Third is it's going to be more liquid engine booster based than solid engine. So the entire launchpad jet deflector design will change. And the entire stage testing will be at launchpad, not at Mahendragiri.
Okay.
So we cannot go take the stage to Mahendragiri and test it. It's so huge that you cannot take it and put it in the test stand. So it has to be done at launchpad only. So the launchpad will cater to all of this. So third launchpad will have all these features.
So sir, also NGLV, when we speak of reusability, recovery becomes an important part. So here are we looking at vertical landing back on land, or are we looking at a sea-based thing? Has there been any thought on that?
Both are possible. Land is possible and sea-based is also possible, but both are penalties. For example, it is already having a velocity to move away from launchpad, and you want to kill all the velocity and bring it to launchpad, you spend a lot of fuel. So you will end up with a lower payload. Initially you need to do it land only, because sea-based recovery is costly, and you will not have such a platform available readily. So you will have to do that to start with a lower payload, and later once you have confidence, you will move to the sea and then handle it later. So both capabilities are there. When you do it in sea, then you will get a higher payload. And
sir, in terms of the astronauts, the two of them have reached US and training is going on, Group Captain Prashant Nair and Shubhanshu Shukla. So for the Gaganyaan mission, has ISRO identified a astronaut? Will it be the other two or here?
No, it is not. It's not identified yet. It will be a different process at that time, because once the maturity comes for Gaganyaan, we will decide. Because we have not even done a unmanned mission till now, so we have to do unmanned mission 3 of them. Then when you are ready for the crew mission, we will take that choice. So we have different mechanism. Their health and availability and preparedness at that moment will be reassessed by an appropriate committee, and they will choose. And all the 4 are going to be there, available for that process. By going to ISS nowadays, getting disqualified.
No, I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
Also, when we spoke last time, you spoke about how there needs to be a pool of astronauts. And
more numbers possibly can come.
And then the second round of selections will begin.
It has to happen, yeah.
Has that taken any shape?
No, we have already discussed with the Air Force. There is a need like that. They said that we will initiate at appropriate time.
Okay.
Not started yet.
Not started yet. And speaking about the Venus mission, you said how, being a sister planet, Venus and Mars, the future generation will not pardon us if we don't understand what's happening there. So in terms of science, there are 19 instruments that the mission will carry. So how important is this mission, not just for India, but also globally? What are the missions it would complement, and what is the primary objective?
See, I think you said it correctly. The sister planets Mars and Venus have a similarity with Earth. So they are not exactly identical. There are some similarities. And possibly they were living planets once. So if you have to really understand how a living planet becomes a dead planet or vice versa, the processes which are involved must be understood by measurements. Mars, some idea is there today, but not very complete. Why the atmosphere vanished, when the gravity is that much which can hold a very high thick atmosphere. It is mostly to do with the geological process which absorbed all the air into the surface rather than escaped out of it. So we will have to understand what is causing it. And similarly, the atmosphere in Venus is thicker. So that is also to be understood. So both are very critical. So our instrumentation is primarily looking at on measurement in the atmosphere in an orbital way currently only. And we are also looking at a probe that can go into the atmosphere and measure. But those finer details are not worked out. We have only budgeted some mass for it, and it has to be engineered. But when you looked at initially the probe to go, it was heavier. So that was not feasible because it needs to withstand that high heat flux, etc. But then I am insisting them that a probe is mandatory. So even if it gets destroyed halfway, it doesn't matter. But at least that much distance we can measure. Otherwise, we will be measuring far away from atmosphere. You must enter into the atmosphere and measure and get the data.
So this will be like an impact probe which will be
possibly,
dropped?
Yeah. It will be only if you have to put a balloon or a thing, it will be very difficult. It will be very massive because it has to have a heat shield because it is high dense air and sulfuric acid. Nothing will withstand reaching up to the surface. But if you can make it reach the surface, it is one of the fantastic engineering. We will see how we can do that.
So Mars, ISRO has been working on a landing mission. Have the project teams begun some preliminary work?
Yeah, they have also completed the design and they have submitted the report of the engineering of the Mars lander. So that's available. It's a feasible mission.
So has that been put up before the Space Commission?
No, not at least the Space Commission. It has gone through various other reviews, discussions. Our internal processes are complete.
And when we're talking about sample return from Moon, one of the key things is to have infrastructure on Earth to process those things, because right now whatever PRL borrows, it is a process sample, but here when you're getting it in the raw form, so that infrastructure, what kind of work would ISRO require to put in, and has any site been identified for that?
Yeah, see, currently the experience for handling such material is only with PRL. And they have been doing it with very sophisticated instruments available. But as you said, that raw material available, it's the containerization, slicing, making it and preserving it over long periods requires much more facility. So right now the whole project detail has been worked out by PRL.
Okay.
A configuration of that is available, and a facility building is currently under discussion. But this cannot happen in short time. It will take a long time, and cost is also very high. So we will have to look at how to contain cost, because we can't spend so much of money on sample processing also. It will be in the hundreds of crores. So we'll have to contain it, how to do it at low cost. So that discussions are going on.
And for the clearances that we've got so far is the first phase, you said, of the larger goal that the government of India has set for 2047. So what are some of the other things that we can expect in phase 2 other than the space station enhancement, of course?
Of course, you said the space station enhancement is going to be the next step in my opinion, because we have got clearance only for launching the first unit of the Gaganyaan station. We need 4 more units to be launched. That is one. Second is we need missions to space station. Each mission is a rocket plus a crew module. That also costs you. And in that it could be human manned or unmanned. So correspondingly the cost will differ. So these missions, a series of missions must be approved to build them, construct them and integrate them. After that, a continued missions, at least in a yearly 3-4 missions to go to space station and come back. So this is what is next phase of approval. And in my opinion, the next set of approval should be the Chandrayaan series should be approved beyond 5. Many technologies need to be proven. For example, you need to go around moon and come back. Okay. Then we should also scale up the payload to a level which will be similar to the one which will ultimately take human beings to that place. Then we should also establish communication infrastructure on moon, so that you don't have to depend on the module that we sent alone, but you need a permanent communication relay station in moon. We should also look at moon to be created of a navigational facility in moon, like the GPS, because now the landing on moon is very, very difficult because of the nature of the moon, because we use cameras and terrain to look at and then match to land at a precise location. A precise landing on Earth is much more easier because of availability of navigational tools, but in moon it is not available. So there are global effort to build navigation infrastructure around moon with multiple satellites. So we should also become part of it and create some contribution so that we can use it. Lastly, we should also establish ground systems, basically to receive signal from moon. Right now we have only one deep space network. That's not enough. We need to have a global network, which includes bigger antennas at other continents, which we have started discussion how to create it. We should also have a space-based communication network, that relay stations of space. So like in the Indian data relay spacecraft, which we are also building it. It has reached now reasonable completion. That also to be launched in the coming days to establish relay communication where visibility is not there, because crew visibility is important. So such many components are required to be built over a period of time. We identified the phases when we will seek approval.
So this relay satellite that you spoke about, which is crucial for Gaganyaan, that you said is getting ready for launch in the coming days, but also what has been the status of other at least temporary terminals that ISRO is planning to set up? One was to come in Australia. Will there be more? There
is no need of temporary terminal. We will hire other stations. The only thing we need to pay them. So there are other stations available. ESA has a hotel station, and then Norway has, America has, USA has. So we are trying to get into agreements with them to support us during those specific periods. But the issue is that when you have a space station, it is not a specific period, it is throughout. Correct. That time you need, similarly when you have conduct long duration mission to moon, etc., you need. But for immediate Gaganyaan, you don't need.
So this Australian project in the Keeling Islands, or Cocos Island, so that is for a long term thing. So it will be more permanent in nature? Or?
It should be more permanent in nature so that you can operate remotely and then get the data. Otherwise, we can get international support for all that. Like we got for Chandrayaan.
Sir, coming back to other launches and communication satellites and the bread and butter part of the thing. So in terms of transponder availability, what is the situation now, sir?
Today, if you look at now, there are a lot of changes happening in communication infrastructure. These transponders were the earlier terminologies.
Correct.
Now we are talking about bandwidth. So transponders are, our own transponders are fully utilized. We have very high utilization percentage. We are also from foreign leased transponders are also made available. So that is meeting the requirement. But then slowly DTS services are coming down. People are vacating. But it's not going to become zero. Over a period of time, it will come down. So until then, these satellites will continue service. Next is VSAT connectivity is also very high. So that service are also there. Internet services, telephony, backhaul services are there, which is also continuing. So that area, NSIL's 10 satellites are doing whatever is needed. So they are fully booked and used. The second is about the high throughput satellite, which are the internet bandwidth based internet high throughput satellite. We have 3, but only one is really the operational. Other 2 are experimental, part of the LVM3 launches. So they have small capability. So they will also move to NSIL. But NSIL started building their own satellites. We have launched GSAT-24 earlier, which is fully utilized for DTH and run services. And now the GSAT-20 goes, which is again a high throughput satellite.
On SpaceX rocket.
SpaceX. So that's also going to be high throughput, which has almost 50 Gbps type of capability. And long term, it's not becoming very clear to me how it's going to be, because the geo constellations are coming up, like Starlink and OneWeb, and they may become very operational, and that could be serving that sector very well. But India still needs geo-based satellites, so we are continuing to build geo satellites to the customers. But many other companies are coming and discussing, like SES, and there are Viasat. Those companies are now interested to come to India and then operate, and they want their satellite to be built by us.
But unlike the LEO orbits, in geo unit specific slots that India has to...
No, we have slots. We have our own slots where the available satellites will end of life will come. We can replace with them available satellites, with the new satellites. So that is one part. We also are getting new slots. We are registering and coordinating to get new slots for both the Indian users, that is national users, as well as private users. Then we are also having experimental satellites. We have a TDS-1, which is an experimental satellite for electric propulsion based. We are going to launch next year. For this year, we decided December, but it's slightly going out of schedule, going to next year beginning. That is an electric propulsion satellite demonstrating that technology, a low mass communication satellite.
So this will be on a PSLV?
It will be on a PSLV. Yes. Then we have another technology demonstration satellite, TDS-2, which is going to be a software-defined radio satellite, which is already approved. We are started working on it. It may take 3-4 years to complete. That's going to be a major game changer to work on frequency switching, beam switching, and user switching, the type of architecture which is got approved. So these are the things we are working on communication.
Thank you so much for taking the time out, sir. Always a pleasure meeting you.